Hey everyone, and welcome to the second video in the series where I'll be comparing all of the streaming services between 4K Apple TV and the LG C9's built-in apps. And today's app of question is going to be Netflix. So I believe Netflix actually performed quite well last time, so I think it was actually working on both with pretty much everything that you normally get. So what I'll do is I'll just come into the first one, and what we'll do is we'll hit play. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be blanking out the screen. I've got the audio disabled. So on the soundbar just down there you can see Dolby Atmos, and up in the right hand corner you can see Dolby Vision. So in terms of everything that's loaded up into from this particular stream, everything looks good. Now the writing and text here itself, what I'll do is I just skip forward a little, and I'm just going to hit pause once it actually plays. Right, and straight away from what I can see that looks really sharp. Now one thing I have noticed in certain apps, mostly Apple TV, where when you first load it up and you hit play or something, it's not very sharp and you have to almost rewind or forward. Basically it takes a little time to actually buffer up. Netflix, from my experience anyway, has always been quite sharp in terms of buffering. Their bit rates may not be as high, so I'm not sure which one of the providers actually uses the highest bit rate, but for the most part it always looks pretty sharp and everything loads up straight away, as opposed to buffering into it and starting in HD and then going to 4K. So in terms of Apple TV 4K, everything looks good. So what I'll do is, once that's stopped, I'll just pull up the LG C9 app. We'll come in, and then what we'll do is we'll go into the same one and I'll do play from beginning. Right, and once again, so you could see straight away down there on the soundbar it did bring up Dolby Atmos, and we already know from the logo in the top right that it was in Dolby Vision mode as well. And once again we can test that by coming into the settings, going into picture, and you can see Dolby Vision picture mode just there. So, and also, well actually no, not on this, but obviously I can also check on my iPad, but I know because I've already seen it come up. Now what I want to do is just skip forward to this same sort of spot. It was around 2 minutes just there, that one, and let's just have a look. Now obviously the buffering that you're going to get, yeah, once again, if you just look at that scene once again, it's sharp straight away. Now as what I was just touching on there, obviously the TV is not hardwired, so it's not got an Ethernet connection. The Apple TV has, so performance for me personally is always going to be slightly better with the Apple TV because of the fact that it's got a much better connection. Obviously whenever you're using Wi-Fi, it's never a constant as it is with a hardwired cable. But if I just let this run on for a few seconds, same thing again, this scene once again, everything looks pretty sharp, everything looks pretty good. So in terms of buffering and everything like that, I've not got no issues with that. With Netflix generally, the only time you ever do get it is whenever you're loading up initially, but for the most part with my internet speeds I don't really tend to have any buffering issues to note. So out of these two apps, as I say, out of both platforms, it seems with Netflix you're good to go on either one. Now as I actually mentioned in my previous video, the original series that I did on this, when it comes to navigating, I do find that the Magic Remote is actually a lot better. So obviously if there is no difference in terms of picture quality, and as I touched on towards the end of my last video, where unfortunately with my soundbar I can't actually check to see whether it's lossless or lossy audio that's actually being sent through. So if it's a lossless, then obviously it doesn't make any difference, you use either one. If it's lossy audio that's being sent through, then you're obviously better with the 4K version, because that you can plug straight into the soundbar and basically you're getting the best audio through. Other than that, the only other thing, as I was saying, was literally just being able to navigate, search, things like that. Generally for me, for the most part, whenever I'm using Netflix, I'm usually just scrolling left and right. I don't really search that often. But if you haven't, for example, if you've only just got Netflix, then you might not have consumed most of the content on there as we have during this lockdown period. So we've now got to the stage where whenever the new content comes out, that's when we basically just add it to the list and watch it whenever we want to watch it. But other than that, obviously, if you do want to navigate it, then I would probably suggest using the built-in app, for the simple reason that it's a lot easier to navigate with the remote in hand. Now, obviously, with the Apple TV one, you can just pull up the remote app on your phone, and then once again, that's actually a lot easier than the Magic Remote in terms of typing and searching like that. But that's obviously you reaching for a secondary device. So obviously, if you don't, for example, like I do, I can use my phone to control the volume on this TV. I can control the Apple TV with the remote, so I can do everything from my phone. If you don't have a built-in soundbar, then the only thing that you'll be able to control is literally just the Apple TV itself. And in that scenario, obviously you're going to have to be going back and forth between the remote for volume and your phone for just controlling the Apple TV. So in that scenario, obviously the Magic Remote would be a better option, but for the most part, you're probably better off, if you have a similar setup to me, then you're better off with the Apple TV version, just because of the fact that you've got everything on there and the switching and everything is probably a bit easier. And what I also find is, hence why I've got this particular background on at the moment, is the Apple TV screensaver kicks in a bit quicker. Whereas when you're using the internal apps, in fact, what I might do is just do a test. So what I'll do is I'll pull up Netflix, and I know on this screen it probably won't do anything. So let's say, for example, we're in an episode and then we pause it. Let's just see how long it takes for it to actually do anything, because as far as I remember, it will literally just stay on this screen. So it's obviously pulled up the menu thing again. In fact, am I actually in it? Yeah, so that should be in the episode. So this should be actually playing. So that's now paused. So it's detected the fact that obviously there's nothing going on, so it's brought up the almost the sort of menu overlay that it normally has, but nothing's kicked in yet. I think the Apple TV, I think it's around 2 minutes. So if you've left it for about 2 minutes, then the screensaver will automatically kick in, which in the long run is obviously, if you're looking at this video and you've got a C9 or any OLED, you're looking to protect it as much as possible. Now on this particular screen, this isn't very good, the way that you've got your writing there and your vivid kind of Netflix logo on screen. So it doesn't seem to be doing anything. It just kind of stays there. So if I just come out of that, and if we switch back to the Apple TV, let's test the same thing back on the Apple TV. So if I go to resume, and then we pause. So firstly, straight away, I don't know how noticeable this is going to be, but the whole screen is actually dimmed. So on the Apple TV, as soon as you pause it, the whole screen dims straight away. Now I believe it's going to be around 2 minutes, where after that period the screensaver should kick in. On the other TV that I've got in the other room, the TCL TV, obviously because that's an LED, with that, especially with the built-in apps on Apple TV, whenever you pause it, it tends to be around about 2 minutes. But with that being an LED, you don't tend to worry about it as much. With this being OLED, obviously it's more of a factor that you want to actually try and protect the screen. But obviously this, compared to what you got on the built-in app, you've not got the big overlay of the title on this side. The subtitles, I've left it on intentionally. I don't actually use it with subtitles, but I've left that on intentionally, so you can see how not only the subtitles but the whole screen appears a lot dimmer compared to what you actually had when I was on the Netflix, the built-in LG C9 Netflix app. So straight away, that's an improvement. Now, I know this will actually kick into the screensaver eventually. I'm not sure what I've actually got it set to on this TV, in fact, because generally whenever I'm using this, I'm quite careful with it. But it's normally around about 2 minutes. But what I'll do is I'll try and do an overlay of both. So I'll put left and right what the Netflix one was like and what this one is like side by side, just to give you an idea in terms of the difference in brightness. And this, I mean, to me straight away it looks like it's a lot dimmer. And there we go. So I'm not sure how long that was, but I think it's probably around about 2 minutes, and then the screensaver's automatically kicked in. So I don't have to do anything to it. I don't have to go back out. I don't even need to stop the video. The one difference is obviously when it comes to playing it, sometimes when you hit play, it can be a little glitchy in terms of it won't straight away go back to playing. It will first get rid of the screensaver, and other times when you hit play, what it'll do is it'll start playing in the background, but you'll still see this image for a few seconds, and then it will go back. So let's actually test. So here's the remote. If I hit play now, yeah, there you go. So it's got rid of the screensaver, but it's come back to this screen and it's still paused. That's just in case, I think, from past experience, I think it's just in case you sit down and you basically hit the play button without actually meaning to play it. So if I now hit it for a second time, there you go, now it starts playing. So I've just paused it again now. So yeah, for me personally, out of the two options, I would if I'm sitting down to watch a movie or TV series, something like that, I always still prefer using the Apple TV for all of these various reasons, where it's just the little improvements and the extra little peace of mind that it gives you by having the built-in protections. And obviously anybody who's watching on an OLED panel, a lot of people always posting in the comments asking me what they can do to try and prevent it, and it helps when your device that you're actually consuming content from is already looking after you as well. So it's got that built-in protection where firstly, straight away, as soon as you pause it, it dims the screen. Complete opposite to the built-in app. The built-in app literally just keeps the same brightness, and then it does the massive overlay on this side. That's obviously primarily Netflix. It's their branding. It's the way that all of their menus always look on all of their apps, and we all recognize it instantly that is Netflix, which is a good thing for them. But obviously it's a bad thing for anybody who has OLED TVs, because obviously firstly they're not dimming the brightness, and secondly it's causing it to basically bloom out for quite a long period on screen before it actually kicks into anything. And I mean, I think I left it for roughly around 2 minutes, similar sort of time that I left the Apple TV, but I just feel a lot more comfortable with this. I mean, I could leave this now and I wouldn't worry about it, because I know after 2 minutes, firstly the screensaver is going to kick in, but secondly this has dimmed the whole screen, so there are no bright spots. I mean, the brightest part on this whole picture is that, and that compared to what it was, I'll just show you now. If I play it, you can see that the actual content is meant to be a lot brighter than what it actually ends up staying on. So for that reason, for me personally, what I would actually recommend is using the Apple TV one if you've got the option of both. As I've said in the past, I've always preferred the Apple TV for most things anyway. The only exception being right now is IPTV, and that's obviously something that I've made a video on. If you haven't seen that video, go check that video out. It's in the TV and Audio's playlist on my channel. So that's pretty much it for this second video in this series. Obviously stay tuned for all of the upcoming ones. So we've done the one that we did last time was Disney Plus, and this one is obviously Netflix. What we've also got coming is Apple TV Plus and also Prime Video as well. So obviously stay tuned for those. If you're not already done so, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, so that way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Thanks very much for watching.